Poor girl drops ultrasound in front of rich man. Never expected this shocking date. It was the kind of day that made you stop and wonder if the universe had a twisted sense of humor. The sun glistened off the glimmering glass skyscrapers of downtown, the kind of backdrop where dreams should come true, and yet here was Lily Brooks, her heart pounding like a drum, her palms sweaty, clutching the ultrasound image like it was a lifeline. She was late, and not just for her appointment. As she rushed through the crowd, heels clacking against the sidewalk, her mind raced with thoughts of what she was about to face: the possibility of rejection, the judgment of her peers, and yes, the meeting looming in front of the most powerful man in the city. She glanced down at the piece of paper, the black and white image crumpled in her grip, a tiny heartbeat inside her, so fragile yet full of life. Would he even care? And then disaster struck. In an instant, she collided with him. One moment she was moving, the next she was sent reeling back. The ultrasound flew from her fingers, soaring through the air like a startled bird. Time felt suspended as the world slowed down. This was no ordinary man, tall and imposing. His expensive suit seemed to absorb the daylight. His face carved from stone, he was the type of man who could buy and sell anyone in the room. And he was staring at the image as it glided toward him, a mixture of confusion and surprise flickering across his icy blue eyes. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Was something scandalous about to unfold? Conversations halted. Whispers filled the air like startled birds, and Lily's heart sank as she imagined everyone's scrutiny. The color drained from her cheeks. Had she just revealed her biggest secret, the one holding her together amidst chaos? Just then, the man caught the ultrasound in a smooth motion, a curious smile playing at the corners of his lips. The crowd waited, breath held tight. What was he going to do? Would he laugh? Disapprove? The tension in the air was electric. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As Lily stood frozen, her mind racing, he leaned down, his voice a low rumble, surprisingly warm against the chilled atmosphere. Is this what I think it is? The air around them pulsed with potential. He glanced up, his eyes narrowing, drinking in her shock and uncertainty. Suddenly, she felt all eyes upon her. A whirlwind of emotions swirled inside. Would this be the start of something extraordinary or a disaster that would haunt her forever? In that moment, as the crowd buzzed and whispered, one thing became clear: this was no ordinary meeting, and whatever happened next would change everything. But would it be for better or worse? Would she take a leap into this unknown, or would she shy away, trapped in her own fears? The seconds stretched painfully as Lily stood there, a mix of dread and anticipation tightening her chest. Every heartbeat felt like a battle drum, echoing in the silence that had enveloped the street. Words caught in her throat, making breathing feel like a chore. How could this be happening? She had mentally rehearsed this moment in her head 100 times, but never had she envisioned a man like him exuding confidence, power, and an air of authority, holding the most personal secret of her life. Smiled, yet it felt like both a benediction and a threat. I can see this is the beginning of something amazing, isn't it? His voice held a kind of charm that somehow both soothed and unsettled her. The crowd leaned in, enthralled, hungry for a scandal, and here it was, right before their eyes. She felt like a moth in a flame, drawn to him yet terrified of the inevitable burn. Lily gulped, finally summoning the courage to respond. It's a baby. The words slipped out before she had time to reconsider. A sharp intake of breath rippled through the onlookers, their collective interest peaked as gossip wheels began to spin. He held the ultrasound up, peering at it with surprising tenderness, as if the tiny figure it captured included some kind of magic only he could see. A miracle, he said softly. The way he said it sent shivers down her spine. Despite her fear, she felt an inexplicable connection, and that scared her even more. Did he genuinely care, or was he simply playing with her? Why? She blurted out, but the question hung unformed in the air, laden with ambiguity. She wanted to know why he was engaging, why he swaggered in like a god amongst mere mortals, and why this moment, her moment, was suddenly a spectacle for the crowd. Would he throw it back at her like a taunt? His smile faded, replaced by a look of intensity she didn't expect. It's the right thing to do. You shouldn't have to face this alone. We can make it work. The simplicity of his words struck her, reverberating like a bell tolling in the back of her mind. What was he saying? Did he want to help? Lily felt her pulse race with possibilities. Was this a chance at hope? Or was it pure illusion, a fallacy luring her deeper into a world far removed from her reality? She caught sight of people at the edge of the crowd, their expressions a mix of awe and judgment. Whispers turned into shouts of disbelief and concern. Who is he? What does he want? Lily, he said. The way he said her name felt oddly familiar. I can make this happen. You have a choice. Those last words rolled into her thoughts, tender yet heavy, a promise layered with obligation. The choice, her choice, lay before her like a tightrope stretching into an unknown abyss, and just as she began to mentally weigh the options, a siren blared in the distance, shattering the moment into chaos. A police car screeched down the road, lights flashing, drawing attention away from them and into a world she couldn't control. Panic surged through her, flooding her veins as she realized that destiny had just thrown an unexpected wrench into her plans. As the officer emerged, surrounding eyes quickly shifted their focus back to the unfolding drama. What could possibly happen next? Just as the moment thickened with tension, she felt a sudden presence behind her, a gust of wind that sent her heart racing even more. Turning around, she locked eyes with a face she never expected to see, an ex-lover, eyes dark with jealousy, and something else she couldn't quite place. What had she gotten herself into? And who was really in control here? Lily stood frozen, a fork in the road diverging in front of her, and with it, uncertainty poured in like a relentless tide. She felt the weight of choices pressing down on her, the moment ripe with consequences. She had to decide, would she stand her ground, face the unexpected, and possibly gain everything? Or would she retreat into the shadows, letting this chance slip away forever? The answer seemed to shimmer just out of reach. Lily's heart raced, each thump echoing in her ears as she stared at the man she once loved, now storming back into her life as if he owned the world. His presence felt like a dark curtain dropping, obscuring her moment of vulnerability. Everyone watched, mouths agape, breaths held. The whispers fluttered around her like restless spirits, each "did you see that?" or "what's going on?" cutting deeper than any blade. James. She gasped, her voice barely cutting through the chaos. His eyes were more piercing than she remembered, drowning any remnants of warmth. The air thickened with the weight of unspoken history, secrets tumbling around like autumn leaves caught in a gust. James smirked, leaning closer, invading her space. "I thought I'd find you here," he said coolly, his tone dripping with an arrogance that made her skin crawl. "What's this?" He gestured dismissively at the ultrasound still clasped in the stranger's hand. "Your newest catastrophe?" Her blood boiled at his words. The truth of her reality hung like a noose around her neck, tightening with every breath. "It's not a catastrophe. It's a life," she shot back, desperation fueling her fire. The crowd fell silent, outraged at his audacity. The rich man, the one who had held the ultrasound, took a step closer to her, a buffer against James's aggression. "No one should be belittled for bringing new life into this world, especially not by you," he snapped, his voice an unexpected ally amidst the tension. Lily glanced at him, momentarily surprised by his support. She noticed something, the gentle way he regarded her, as if he saw not just a distressed girl but someone strong enough to face whatever lay ahead. But could she trust him? Her instinct screamed caution, yet the magnetism of his confidence was undeniable. James's laughter broke through the moment, laced with scorn. Oh please, don't act like this is some fairy tale. You're just playing with fire. You don't know what you're getting into. Maybe I don't, she replied, voice steadier now, but neither do you. You think you can just walk back into my life and criticize my choices? Choices? He echoed, incredulity mingling with anger. You think this is some noble quest? Raising a child alone in a world that will chew you up and spit you out? Suddenly, a noise broke through the tension, an urgent voice calling from behind her. Lily. It was her sister, rushing through the crowd, eyes wide and distraught. What's happening? Are you okay? Lily felt a wave of relief wash over her, but it didn't last long, not with James standing there smirking, a predator waiting to pounce. Your sister should keep you in line, he taunted, showing a glimpse of the vulnerability he'd taken a sledgehammer to so long ago. So why are you risking everything now? The crowd buzzed with anticipation, hungry for drama as much as sympathy. Lily felt the shift in the air, and just as she opened her mouth to respond, the police officer stepped forward, hand on his holster. What's going on here? He demanded, scanning the tension like a hawk. Every eye turned to her, the weight of expectations palpable. The moment felt electric, change hanging in the air like storm clouds before a downpour. She could either let James overshadow her, or she could claim her voice and face this mess head-on, but suddenly, her sister grabbed her arm, urgency in her eyes. Lily, we need to talk. Now. The heaviness of the moment pressed in as her heart thudded painfully with a choice looming larger than life. Would she distance herself from the past and reach for something new, or would she let the ghosts consume her, one more time? As she looked at the faces around her, curiosity mixed with dread, she couldn't shake the feeling that the choice wasn't just hers, it was being made for her in ways she could scarcely understand. And it felt like the beginning of a storm. The crowd surged, a living entity caught in the tension. Lily's thoughts raced, a wild whirlwind battling for dominance. Her sister's grip tightened. We have to get out of here, now, she whispered urgently, eyes darting around as if searching for an escape route. Lily. James's voice sliced through the chaos. You can't walk away from this. This is your life we're talking about. His words wrapped around her, a steel trap she struggled to break free from. The police officer shifted closer, his brow furrowing. Does anyone need assistance? He asked, scanning the scene for cues. Lily opened her mouth, ready to answer, but her voice faltered. What could she even say? That she was pregnant? That the father was a man who had shattered her world? She caught the rich man's steady gaze, it grounded her momentarily. He stepped forward, challenging James with a quiet confidence. We're just having a discussion, he asserted, though his voice bore a hint of defiance, as if he too sensed the palpable storm brewing. James scoffed, disdain twisting his features. Discussion? You think she needs your help? She's fine on her own. Aren't you, Lily? His sneer sliced through the air like a knife, and she saw the crowd's expression shift once more, curiosity mingling with disbelief. Her sister practically pulled her away, but Lily's heart raced for another reason now. I need to face this, she insisted, shaking off her sister's grip. Just saying it felt terrifying, yet liberating. The world quietened, as though collectively holding its breath, waiting to see how she would wield her power. James glared at her, his arrogance almost palpable. Face what exactly? You think that pretending everything is fine will make it so? She inhaled deeply, as if pulling strength from the air itself. No, but I'm done hiding behind you. The words felt strange yet exhilarating. Lily felt the weight of 1,000 eyes on her, judging, scrutinizing, daring her to falter. You don't get to define who I am anymore. Sensing a shift, the police officer stepped closer, ensuring the tension wouldn't escalate further. I need to know if anyone feels threatened here. I can't have this turning into a situation. Threatened? James laughed, but it came out hollow, a hint of uncertainty slithering through his bravado. Please, I'm just here to check on my pathetic ex. After all, this is a reunion, right? The rich man's eyes darkened. Enough, James. This isn't about you. Like a flicker in the shadows, Lily's resolve ignited. You don't get to dictate this, any of it. But even as she spoke, doubt crept in. Was she strong enough to wield her voice against the chaos? A fleeting moment of silence fell over them, felt as heavy as a thick fog. And then, her sister's phone rang, the sound slicing through the tension like a sharp knife. Sorry, she muttered, fumbling in her bag and pulling it out. Lily barely noticed when her sister's expression shifted from annoyance to alarm. It's Mom, she said, voice trembling slightly. She sounded panicked. Lily's heart dropped. What do you mean? Before her sister could respond, a scream erupted from the crowd, piercing through the air and sending shockwaves through everyone present, including Lily. What the hell? James exclaimed, turning just as chaos erupted. In the midst of confusion, Lily squinted toward the source of the commotion. Her stomach dropped. A figure, darker than any shadow, broke through the crowd, menacing and violent. With dread clawing at her throat, Lily's instincts screamed at her to run. But would she face this new danger alone, or would help come from the most unexpected places? As uncertainty settled like the suffocating mist, Lily knew this storm was just starting. And she'd better be ready for whatever came next. The scream echoed like a bullet shot through the air, and the crowd recoiled in unison, as if their shared fear had turned them into one body. Panic rippled through their ranks, each person lost in a moment of shock, unsure whether they should flee or stand frozen in place. Lily's heartbeat raced, thundering in her ears as she searched frantically for the source of the chaos. Her sister's hand gripped her tightly, but in that moment, all Lily could see was the shadowy figure forcing its way through the crowd, the embodiment of her worst fears come to life. Stay close, her sister urged, her voice barely audible over the chaos. But staying close meant staying trapped. Lily felt like a puppet caught amidst a fraying string, pulled in every direction by the frantic eyes around her. She didn't want to cower, she needed to reclaim her voice, her space in this moment. James stood rigid, his bravado evaporating as he observed the growing terror in the crowd. What the hell is happening? He shouted, his confident demeanor splintering. The dark figure shifted nearer, and Lily's gut twisted. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she couldn't, not now. She had to understand what this threat meant, not just for herself but for her sister and the life burgeoning within her. Steeling herself, she took a step forward, mirroring the resolve she felt blooming in her chest. Get back! She yelled, her voice shaky but fierce. Everyone, just back away. We need space. For a heartbeat, silence reigned, an unexpected hush where people strained to hear her. James shot her a bewildered glance, but there was something else, an hint of awe creeping into his expression. The figure emerged further into view, and Lily's breath caught. A man, tall and imposing, seethed with an untamed energy. He wore a suit, but it hung loosely on him, as if he had dressed for an occasion long past. His face was set in a grimace, and his eyes surveyed the crowd like a predator scoping its prey. And then he paused. Locking eyes with Lily, her heart raced, the world fading away in that instant. She felt a connection, a jolt of recognition that sent chills down her spine. His expression shifted. Was that fear? Concern? Or something more dangerous? Before she could overthink it, he lunged towards her, weaving through the onlookers. Lily! He called out, his voice distorted by the clamor around them. Wait. Stop. She barely recognized her own voice. It came out stronger than she felt, a plea wrapped in defiance. But the surge of bodies kept him at bay, and with every passing second, the crowd morphed into chaos again. Shouts and cries mingled with the muffled sound of sirens in the distance. Lily! That voice again, urgent and raw, pulling her in. Her instincts urged her to run, but she stood rooted in place. Who was he? Why did he seem to know her? With instinct battling logic, she feared stepping back might seal her fate. She looked around, the faces around her etched with disbelief and intrigue. Her sister was tugging at her, pulling her towards safety, but Lily shook her head. She couldn't be the girl who ran anymore, not from him and not from her own life. Get away from her. James stepped forward, his presence an obstacle between Lily and the approaching figure. No. Lily shouted, her heart racing. Could she protect herself? Or was she placing everyone at risk by standing firm? The tension spiraled, and with a violent crash, someone knocked over a table, sending drinks and food scattering like debris caught in a storm. The rich man's gaze locked on Lily, and in that moment, she saw a decision unfolding behind his eyes, one that could change everything. What was he willing to sacrifice for her? And how far would she go to protect her own truth amidst the tumult? The crowd's murmur turned to a roar, as shadows and threats morphed into uncertain desires. As Lily gathered her courage, her heart pounding like war drums in her chest, one question loomed larger than the panic around them: how was she going to face this storm now? And then, just as the crowd swelled with uncertainty, she heard it, a loud crack, like thunder breaking the sky, and the world shifted once more at her feet. The crack echoed around them, a bolt from nowhere that sent shivers through the crowd. People jumped, and the air thickened with a new tension, as if the universe were holding its breath in anticipation. Time froze for Lily, and she felt every heartbeat pulsing through her body, each thump highlighting the danger lurking just beyond the perimeter of her awareness. What was that? Her sister whispered, her voice barely a tremor amid the rising anxiety. I don't know, Lily managed to breathe, but the instant answer hit her like a tidal wave: the ultrasound. Everything around her blurred, but the memory of the flimsy image held hostage in her bag flashed vividly across her mind. The precious waveforms that could change their lives, the tiny heartbeat she had hoped would fill the air with celebration. Panic surged inside her chest as she fought the urge to move, to run. But instead, she remained rooted, watching the storm of chaos unfold. The man hadn't advanced closer, though his eyes remained fixated on her, burning fiercely with something she couldn't quite comprehend. He was watching her, assessing her. Lily. He was shouting louder now, cutting through the turmoil. Please, trust me. The urgency of his voice pierced through her confusion, igniting a flicker of recognition in her own heart. What did he want? Why was he here? The sirens wailed closer, wrapping around her in a cold embrace, but she felt the irrational pull toward him, like a moth to a flame. Get down! Someone screamed, just as the crowd surged in panic. Instinct kicked in, and the bodies surged like waves in a stormy sea, propelling Lily and her sister backward. She stumbled, but without thinking, flung her arms out to shield herself. But as she regained her balance, the table nearby tipped violently, and she caught a glimpse of the ultrasound machine crashing down, the screen dying in a flash of white light. No! Lily shrieked, her voice raw with desperation. She wanted to scream again, but the sound was swallowed whole by the thundering chaos. Get to safety! Her sister shouted, dragging her back. But Lily was already moving forward, eyes locked on the man, who had finally breached the sea of confusion. He was striding toward her with purpose, dodging people and debris, determination set on his features. She could hardly breathe as he came closer. The world around her seemed to shrink down to just the two of them. Lily, I know this seems insane, but you have to trust me. His voice was a low rumble in the chaos, compelling her to listen. Trust you? Why should I? She shot back, though deep down she felt the magnetism of his urgency. Because it's not safe here. He pointed towards the front doors, where panic had hit critical mass. People were pushing and shoving to escape, their faces painted in horror. You're in danger, and the only way out is with me right now. A cry broke from the crowd, another scream swallowed. Lily's heart raced, truth fighting against confusion. Would running with him mean safety or sealing her fate? Before she could decide, the sound of shattered glass pierced through the air, breaking her concentration completely. Lily. He reached for her, desperation flickering in his eyes as he gripped her hand, tugging her gently but firmly through the crowd. But just as she stepped forward, a wild figure burst from the throng, a teenage boy whose face twisted with rage. He was about to lose his mind, utterly consumed by the chaos that had erupted. "What are you doing?" he shouted, targeting her with wide eyes, fueled by misplaced angst. "Let us go." The man pulled again, and in a moment of instinct, Lily let go of her sister's hand, propelled by adrenaline and the instinct for survival. As they moved through the writhing mess of bodies, she glanced back, her stomach twisting. Her sister's eyes were wide with fear. It felt like leaving behind a vital piece of herself. They pushed through the throngs until they finally stumbled outside into the night air, gasping for breath. But something still felt wrong, the world outside eerily quiet now, as blaring sirens waned in the distance. The man turned to her, and for a moment, his eyes softened. "Now, we can't stop." "Not ever," he hesitated, searching her face for understanding. "What's going on? Who are you?" "There isn't time for that." He started to pull her again. "You have to see this. It's about you, about us." A chill swept through her as she caught a glimpse of the madness lurking in the crowd behind them. Would she really follow him into the storm ahead? Wait. But as she said it, she sensed it something far darker looming just beyond the veil of chaos, waiting for its moment to strike. And then she heard it. A low growl that rumbled through the remains of the night, a sound that sent a jolt of adrenaline coursing through her veins. What had she just involved herself in? The night was far from over, and the choice she faced felt sharper than ever, to run toward the unknown or return to the familiar, where danger still lingered. But before she could ponder any further, a flash of light cut through the darkness unseen till this moment. And in that split second, hope collided with fear in a staggering realization: the truth was darker than she had ever imagined. The night thickened around them like a shroud, pulling Lily and the man into a world that felt simultaneously alive and dead. The air crackled with unseen danger, and the low growl reverberated in her bones as she fought to catch her breath. "Keep moving," he urged, dragging her deeper into the shadows away from the chaos. Each step echoed with uncertainty. The dim streetlights flickered above them, casting uneasy shadows that swayed like they were alive. "Why are you doing this?" She struggled to keep pace, her heart racing, desperation mingling with instinct. "Who are you?" He looked over his shoulder, urgency plastered on his face. "There's no time for questions. They're coming, all of them." The weight of his words settled in her stomach. She felt the adrenaline sharpen her senses, making her painfully aware of every sound, every shift in the darkness. Who were they? And why was this stranger so invested in her? Just then, a crash echoed down the alleyway, glass shattered somewhere in the distance. Footsteps, heavy and relentless, drew nearer. "Simon." He yanked her forward, pulling her into an abandoned building. The stench hit her first, dirt and decay. A grim reminder that safety had been a fleeting illusion. They ducked behind a broken wall, their breaths mingling in the eerie silence that enveloped them. "Are they here?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. "Not yet," he whispered, a tense edge coating his words. "But they won't be far behind." The darkness around them strained to listen, and she felt the thrum of her heart drowning out any other sound. What happened back there? The crowd? The ultrasound? You know something. His brow furrowed as he glanced out from their hiding spot, scanning the streets. "It's complicated. You're in more danger than you realize. They want something from you, something powerful." Powerful? The word echoed through her mind. There was too much they had left unsaid, too many questions tangled in the rush of survival. Yes. He leaned closer, a flash of desperation in his eyes. The ultrasound, it's not just a picture. It's a key, your key to understanding what's really going on. A shudder coursed through her. You're scaring me. This is no time for fear. He caught her gaze, holding it steady. You have to trust me. We need to get to a safe place, and fast. You'll be able to see everything. It'll all make sense once we get there. How? Where? She was losing herself in his piercing stare, the truth of his conviction clashing with her fear. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps grew loud, pounding against the concrete, accompanied by guttural voices she couldn't comprehend. A whisper of panic brushed against her chest, tightening like a vice. There's no choice, he urged, glancing once more at the darkened street. They're here. With a gasp, he grabbed her hand fiercely, and they slipped out the backside of the building, racing into another alley. But as they broke from the shadows, the streetlights illuminated a figure standing just a few feet away, a silhouette shrouded in darkness, casting a long shadow that seemed to stretch for miles. Stop! The figure shouted, voice like iron cutting through the night air. Their hearts clamored in the night, the brief moment of stillness hanging heavy before the chaos erupted. Lily's pulse raced, any thought of safety shattered in an instant. Run! But as they turned to flee, that unnerving growl rumbled again, this time closer, echoing ominously among the gravel of the street. Lily's mind whirled, teetering on the edge of panic and resolve. What truth lay hidden beneath layers of fear? And what terrifying fate awaited them if they failed to outrun the darkness? Behind them, the shadows grew thicker, pulsing as if alive, inching closer and closer with each heartbeat. What awaited them in the depths of the unknown? They sprinted blindly, adrenaline fueling their flight. The alley walls seemed to close in, pressing against Lily's shoulders as she ran, her breath hitching in her throat. The chill of the night wrapped around her like a vice, but it was the dreadful sounds behind them that sent shivers racing down her spine. Faster! He urged, his grip tightening around her wrist. She could feel the strength in his hand, a lifeline tethering her to safety, even as uncertainty flooded her thoughts. Where were they going? Was there truly safety at the end of this desperate sprint? Another growl rumbled through the night, deep, primal, and terrifying. The sound clawed at her insides, chasing away any semblance of rational thought. They veered sharply right, into another dimly lit alley. No longer could she hear the chaos of the street behind them, it had been swallowed by the darkness. But the palpable threat in the air remained, thick and suffocating. They're tracking you, he panted, glancing back over his shoulder, and the flicker of fear in his eyes sent a bolt of dread through her. Even now, they're closing in. Who? What do they want from me? The questions tumbled out in a rush, fraying her composure as panic tightened its grip. They know about the ultrasound. His voice cut through her fear like a knife. It's not just a picture of your baby. It's evidence, a clue to something dangerous. Images of that sterile hospital room flooded back, the cold touch of the ultrasound wand, the grainy, shifting images that had promised joy. But that joy felt miles away, like a crumbling dream. I don't understand, she stammered. What kind of clue? He stopped abruptly, their bodies merging with the shadows of a narrow doorway. The world outside crackled with tension, the growls echoing ominously through the darkness. You're in the middle of something much bigger than you know, he whispered urgently. Something that could change everything. The frantic rhythm of Lily's heart slowed momentarily, confusion mingling with fear. Change what? My baby? My life? How can it be that important? His eyes locked onto hers, casting a fierce fire of intensity. Because they want to control it. They'll do anything to harness the power of that baby, to manipulate it for their means. Every word hit her like a punch to the gut. The world beyond those shadows seemed unreal, distant. Suddenly, the safety of this doorway felt like a fragile barrier against something overwhelming. A faint rustle echoed from the darkened street. They were coming closer, her pulse racing once more in response. Then, a loud crash echoed nearby, sending a wave of bright panic. The shadows shifted, dark figures moving amidst the flowing night. Let us go. He pulled her along again, deeper into the building. Their legs moved instinctively, but Lily's mind raced. Could she trust him? Was he really trying to protect her, or was he part of the threat? As they stumbled through what used to be a hallway, something caught her eye, a flicker of movement framed by fractured glass. A shadow detached from the rest, and she froze, her body frozen like prey trapped by an unseen hunter. "Lily, keep moving," he urged, but the shadow shifted, stepping into the faint light, revealing a face she never expected to see. A familiarity that sent shockwaves through her confusion and fear. "Lily, you need to listen to me," the figure called, voice slicing through the chaos. "They're not who you think they are." Her breath caught, disbelief clouding her thoughts. What? But how? Before she could grasp the reality unfolding, the darkness thickened around them again, deeper and more oppressive, ink-smudged shadows shifting tighter, encircling them like a net. "Trust him," the new figure shouted, desperation cracking through. But trust had become a rare commodity, and the night continued to pulse with danger. What would happen if she did trust them? And what other shocking truths lay hidden in the shadows? Lily felt the weight of the decision bear down heavily, as the street trembled from the growl of an approaching storm. Lily's mind raced, caught between the urgency of the moment and the swirling confusion in her heart. The frantic shadows loomed closer, the growls from behind gaining strength, reverberating through the hollow passageways of the abandoned building. Her pulse hammered in her ears as she faced this unexpected figure. "Who are you?" she yelled, her voice barely steady, the fear tightening her throat. "What do you want from me?" The figure stepped forward, revealing a striking face with sharp features illuminated by what little light crept in through the shattered windows. It was Iris, her childhood friend, someone she thought was lost, someone she never expected to see again. "Lily, please. You don't understand. They'll kill you if they find you." "What are you talking about?" Lily asked, her head spinning. "What do you mean they'll kill me? Why would anyone want to hurt me? They know what's growing inside you." Iris shot back, eyes wide. "You don't know the truth about your baby. You're in so much danger. They've already taken so much from us. You need to believe me." Before Lily could respond, a loud crash erupted from behind them, sending a sharp thrill of panic through her veins. "We need to move," her companion yelled, urgency cracking through his calm demeanor as he blocked her retreat with his body. "Lily, this isn't the time for questions." The growls intensified, dripping with menace as echoes of footfalls scattered through the hall. She felt like a doe caught in the sights of a hunter, waiting to be picked off. "What do I do?" she whispered, her voice a thin thread of trepidation. "Run with me," Iris urged, extending her hand, the desperation palpable. "We have to get away from here and into the light. We can explain everything." Gripping Iris's hand felt like a secret lifeline, but doubt nagged at Lily's mind. Once a friend, she'd been out of touch for years. Could she trust her now? Or had Iris become another link in the chain that threatened to drag her down? The decision clawed at her as the hallway shuddered, the shadows creeping closer. But before she could choose, a figure emerged, a silhouette against the seared orange glow of a distant fire. Dark clothes blended with the night, a hooded shadow that made her heart plummet into a well of fear. It stepped forward, voice dripping with menace. "Lily, don't be foolish. You don't want to end up like the others." "Who are you?" Lily cried out, feeling the heat of terror licking at her heels. She turned desperately to her companion. "What do you want?" "No," the hooded figure hissed. "It's too late for questions. You must come with me. This way leads to your doom." Panic surged, slicing through her fog of confusion. Instinct kicked in. She couldn't stay here. "Lily, follow me." Iris tugged her again, and without thinking, Lily sprinted toward her. They dashed down the corridor, but fear tangled with uncertainty. It was hard to tell which way was truly safe. She cast a glance over her shoulder. The hooded figure faded into darkness, yet the growls had transformed into chaotic shouts. Please. They're right behind us. Iris pressed, urging them to keep moving. As they raced on, Lily's breath came in fast bursts, carried by adrenaline. She had to focus. There had to be answers waiting just beyond the darkness. She could feel her heart thrumming against her chest like a drum signaling danger. Suddenly, a door loomed ahead. There. We can get out. Iris yelled, pushing it open with a forceful shove. They burst into an alley, the cool air hitting Lily's face like a splash of cold water, but the moment was short-lived. A cacophony of footsteps echoed close behind. A crowd of pursuers was hot on their heels. We can't stop. Her companion shouted, pulling Lily forward, urging her down another dimly lit street littered with debris. Her fear peaked as she felt the weight of thousands of eyes upon her. Every breath, every rapid beat of her heart felt like a cacophony, announcing their flight. They needed to vanish, to win this race against fate, but would they make it? As they sprinted through the chaotic maze of alleys and shadows, a haunting howl sliced through the air. The realization hit something even more sinister was coming for her, something far darker than she had ever imagined. A powerful force that twisted terror into something tangible. What was hidden in the depths of this chase, waiting to entangle them next? Just as they rounded a corner, the street opened up, revealing a thin slice of moonlight. But another decision loomed ahead, one that could change the course of everything. With danger at her back and uncertainty ahead, would she have the courage to face the truth? Lily's lungs burned, the cold air filling them in ragged gasps as she pushed forward, hand clasped tightly with Iris. Every shadow loomed ominously in the moonlight, while the sirens of the chaos behind them faded like ghosts, chased away by their desperate flight. Was there truly safety ahead, or were they charging into another trap? They slipped into a narrow alley that felt almost sacred, dappled in silvery light filtering through the clouds. Where are we going? Lily managed to croak, panic fluttering in her chest. We need to find a safe place to think. Somewhere they can't reach us, Iris said, her voice barely above a whisper, flickers of fear resting in her eyes. But then something shifted, determination sparked within Iris that ignited a flicker of hope in Lily's heart. As they turned the corner, their frantic pace slowed, the shadows began to feel less foreboding. A small park opened up before them, trees wrapping around like protective guardians. The stillness of the night settled heavily, and they paused, hands on knees, trying to catch their breath, their hearts wild with adrenaline. What's going on, Iris? Lily breathed, voice trembling. Why are they so interested in me? Iris's throat bobbed as she swallowed hard. You need to understand your baby is linked to something bigger. They're after the power it represents, and they think you're the key. Lily's insides twisted. What power? I'm just trying to survive. Iris locked eyes with her, fierce and unapologetic. No. You're not just a victim. You're part of a legacy, a lineage they want to control. Your mother kept this from you, but it's time you knew the truth. The air around Lily felt heavy, a weight pressing down like the heaviness of an impending storm. What truth? She asked, every syllable trembling with uncertainty. It's complicated. But your child wasn't a mere accident. The ultrasound captures something more than just a heartbeat. The words echoed in her head, sending shivers down her spine. More? She whispered, the lump in her throat threatening to swallow her whole. Iris drew closer, urgency lacing every word. There's a power within your baby that could change everything, but it's being hunted. You need to stay strong, Lily. Together, we can protect it. Before Lily could react, a low growl echoed through the trees, slicing through the tension like a knife. They both turned, spine tingling with dread. The figures were near, she could feel it. We have to move. She cried, adrenaline surging again as they sprinted deeper into the park, the branches overhead twisted like fingers clawing at the sky. Night shadows shifted unnaturally, and Lily felt the hairs on her arms stand on end. As they ran, flashes of light pierced the darkness, marking the hunters closing in. Keep going. Iris urged, pushing through the thick brush, determination cutting across her features. But just as they broke through the thicket, a sudden bright light turned their world into something surreal. "Stop!" The command rang out, the voice deep and deadly. They froze. Emerging from the shadows was a figure cloaked in authority, eyes glinting with a confidence that set every instinct within Lily on fire. It was that same man, the rich stranger from downtown. "You shouldn't be here," he exclaimed, urgency coloring his tone. "Who are you?" Lily demanded, confusion mingling with desperation. "I'm someone who wants to help you," he replied. "But you need to listen to me." Iris stepped in front of Lily, shielding her. "Why would we trust you? Why do you care?" "Because there's more at stake than you imagine. The people chasing you, they want to use what's inside her for their own gain. You need to get to safety," he urged, his voice heavy with sincerity. "And where's safe?" Lily challenged, feeling the weight of decisions bear down on her. "Come with me, and I'll explain everything," he said, hands raised in pacifying gesture, but Lily hesitated. Could she trust him? Was this man a savior or another threat? Then she looked at Iris, whose eyes held a steely resolve, and she knew then she couldn't keep running from her fate. "Okay," she said, taking a slow step forward. "I'll go with you." Before she could rethink it, the man nodded and motioned for them to follow him into the night, his gaze scanning the area. Behind them, the growls intensified, becoming a concert of danger echoing through the trees. As they sprinted away, adrenaline surged once more. Every heartbeat reverberated with the urgent question, was this a beginning or an end? All she could do was follow, desperate to forge a path forward into the unknown. Lily felt a cascade of emotions swirling within, the fear of what lay ahead mixing with an evolved sense of hope. The terrain might be uncertain, but one thing was clear: she was no longer alone. She had people willing to fight with her, and together, they might defy the storm lurking just beyond the horizon. The truth awaited her, the resolution to this story was about to unfold, and she was ready to face it head-on. Just as they rushed towards what seemed like safety, the moon cast light upon her heart, illuminating the choice she had made, no longer a victim, but a force destined to protect her child and herself. And in that moment, she knew this would be the last she ever let anyone dictate her choices. This was just the beginning. Now, the storm had arrived, and Lily was finally ready to stand her ground. But the journey to the truth had just begun. Listen up. You need to subscribe now if you want to keep up with the next thrilling chapter of this unfolding story. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show how much you love these kind of journeys. And I want to hear from you. Flood the comments section with your theories about what's happening. Let us get talking. Finally, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Trust me, they'll thank you for being in the loop.